Hey everybody, what is up? This Devin LaVore coming at you. And you guys miss story time? I do. I miss telling stories about where we're at and what's going on. But I tell you what, for those of you who don't know, but also a reminder for those of you who do know, man, our life right now is really surrounded by being a support to Michelle and Joa, my firstborn, as they prepare to go into this National Bible Bee competition that's going to be in November. You know, we are definitely going to need quite a bit of support, financial support for that. But God's going to take care of us as He always has. It's going to be definitely a lot, but God's got plans, And so that's kind of what the story of our life is right now. But it's like, and God's ordaining it and all that, but there are a lot of other things that God's doing in us personally. And that's kind of what I wanted to touch on today, with also an aspect that ties into prophetic timing and time frames, and the fact that you could be in the midst of a prophetic time of things coming to pass and you don't even realize it. But before I get into that, I want to give you guys a chance to give. It will bless you. It will bless us, because we are a support-based ministry right now. And if you would like to give to us, that would be super great. Our Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal links are below. And if you just click it, you can give as you feel led. Because as you live this wilderness life, even though we're in a transition out of the wilderness, we're not out of the wilderness yet. You ever heard that? We're not out of the woods yet. We're not out of the wilderness yet. So every day is a day of needs. Needing to be met, and we just really super appreciate everybody who gives to us and continues to give to us. Okay, the Lord has blessed us so much, and so if you would like to give to us, those opportunities are below, and we would appreciate it if you took some opportunities. But anyway, in reference to time frames and all of that, sometimes we're so wrapped up in about a time frame for a prophetic word that we get so exhausted from waiting. But for those of us who don't quit and we just keep on going, you will get to this point where you find yourself in the midst of a prophecy being fulfilled. Now, as for me, I have gotten many visions and prophetic words and all that on my whole journey with the Lord. There's one particular one that I got from the Lord. My gosh, it was back in September of 2002. So we're talking like a solid 21 years ago as of the taping of this, recording of this video. And the Lord said, this is what's going to happen in your life. You're going to see this. And I have been looking for that thing to happen ever since then, But one of the visions also that the Lord gave me is during this journey that we've been on. We are in our 7th year of this journey, and there's a lot of prophetic timing around this particular journey where I've left the workforce, Michelle's left the workforce, and we've come into this place. We've taken this step out of the boat, risk invitation from the Lord, because the Lord said, come on. I was like, Lord, this is really you, and He said, come on, it's really me, come on. And we have been out of the boat of so much of traditional, normal picture of life type stuff, and God has been sustaining us miraculously as we take steps for the last almost a completion of 7 years. It started in January of 2017, and we have been going ever since. And God has been supplying and supporting every day. Sometimes it's been times of plenty. It's been times of lack, but ultimately it's always been God leading the way. And he's never put us in a position where we have like this just crazy massive abundance, because if he does and he's like, ooh, let's do this with that, and then you're back down to zero anyway, because this whole time has been a time of just total dependence on him, right? And we've received so much vision and promise, and sitting at the table dreaming with the Lord, getting his blueprints for our future and our children's future and all of that. But during this time, we call it the time in the wilderness. And then there's a time in, there's a priest, during this time in the wilderness, we've been doing priestly training. And then there's coming a time very soon where we're going to start doing kingly training. And it's a completely different come on out from the Lord in that regard. But during this wilderness time, I've been kind of like a Moses, leading my family out through the wilderness, and as we develop intimacy with the Lord, as our hearts are getting tested, as 444 moments are happening as a part of our daily bread. 444 moments, for those of you who don't maybe understand that, it is a prophetic number that basically means God's going to be opening our hearts and laying our hearts bare and exposing our hearts to see what's in our hearts. It's in the scripture where where the Father says, I brought you out into the wilderness before I sent you to the promised land to expose your heart and test your heart to see if you would obey my commands. And that's kind of like what the Lord's been doing with us in the wilderness. And I'm sure for those of you who go through the wilderness, that's exactly what you feel. That's what goes on. There's an exposure. There's a stripping. There's a tearing down. There's a leveling. There's a hollowing out. There's an emptying. There's a pruning beyond pruning. And it's been difficult, to say the least. But we've been sustained by the Spirit of God, the Spirit of our Father, the reality of his presence in our lives, and undeniable, amazing experiences with the Lord that just shatter us. That shatter us in a good way, you know what I mean? Now, what do I mean by shatter us? I mean, like, shatters all of our little tiny religious or small God can't do that, God won't do that, God doesn't do that pictures that we have in our museum of our heart and our mind, that we think God, this is who God is. And it's like, God is so much bigger and so much greater. But we've got to be in a position where we can see that. We can't be in the comfort zone of our lives and then say, God, show me yourself. Well, no, you got to come out to see it. And that's kind of like what we've been in this almost 7-year journey. And I've kind of been like a Moses, leading my people, and God's been using me in that way. And he showed me this vision one time where, and it's been hard. There's been a lot of intensity when it comes to exposure moments and pouring out your heart and squeezing your heart, and all the black comes out of it. And it's just been a lot of, I have been the point man and the leader in all of this, you know. And Michelle has been a tremendous help, and we really are partners. But it's very clear to everyone in the family that the Lord has kind of put me as the arrowhead of what he's doing right now, right? And then I went through this prophetic thing. It's probably like 1.5 years ago at this point. I don't remember. But where the Lord had me lay down on the floor and like I was in a casket. And the Lord said, like, and so there was a prophetic word that came that said, this Devin that you see here in the wilderness, you're going to get to a point when you cross over where you will not see him anymore. He will not be there. He will be completely different. He will be a different person. This Moses type Devin, he's going to be gone. You're not going to see him, and you're going to say bye bye to him, and you're going to say hello to a new dad, a different dad. It's almost like a younger Joshua version. and I remember that, and I was like, whoa, that's awesome. And here's where the prophetic timing and the problems come in. When God begins to speak and he's sharing this stuff with you, you're getting very excited because he is making it very, very, very clear that this is him and this is what he's going to do, right? And I don't know how it happens, to be totally honest with you, but somehow it just gets in there that you feel like, at least at my maturity level, you get like this feeling, oh, this is getting ready to happen like right now. This is getting ready to happen right now. It's going to happen right now. And then right now goes on for months, maybe years. But it goes on for a lot. The bottom line is it goes on way past your excitement. Once your excitement has completely died out, the time is still running ahead of you. And I think that's just part of the process of the Lord as well. You hear a lot of prophetic words saying in the next 3 days, by this time next year, and all that stuff. And you get excited about it. Sometimes I think it's an inescapable part of the process where you just kind of get excited. There's nothing wrong with getting excited, but a lot of times I find with prophetic time frames, they're just not true. They end up not happening unless you get a word from the Lord himself to you saying, by this time this is going to happen, whatever it is. You can't just get on YouTube and hear a prophetic word and think it's for you. You've got to get it from the Lord. In fact, you've really got to take everything that you hear prophetically and take it to the Lord. Whether it comes from you or someone else, you got to be stewing on it. You got to, unless you know that you know, and you just know, and you can just take it with you. Because that happens as well. But ultimately, it's like when it comes to the time frame, a lot of times we just don't know. We just don't. Sometimes we do. Sometimes people get time frames and it happens just the way they said. But it's like sometimes when it comes to time frames, God will say, I don't know, he'll give you a time frame. And you're looking for something to happen on that time frame, and of course the thing you're looking to happen on that time frame is the big promise and the big thing and the thing to happen, right? And you're looking forward to that, and then that time frame comes and you're just looking around to see what's happening, and then there are things that are happening. There could be majorly significant things that are happening, but it's not the thing you were hoping for. It's not the birth of the promise that's happening. It's just something different, and it is significant, undeniably significant. There's sometimes you get there and you just wonder what happened, and there's a disappointment. I think that's what my whole point is here, in this particular moment of our conversation, even though it's just me talking. Anyway, but there is a disappointment. Even if God's doing the most amazing things ever, there's a leaven of disappointment because it's not the fulfillment of the promise, And I thought that, and it's like a lot of times the Lord, he might say to you, August, September, October. And it's like, okay, that's awesome. And you're looking to see what's going to be happening and what's going to go on. You will go through all of August, September, October. And the promise did not happen. But throughout the entire August, September and October, you are just you are just taking in everything that the Lord was saying. And that's really exactly what he wanted to see happen. He wanted you to just be on your toes for whatever might happen, so he could just pour so much more into you. If you're just like, oh, it's I got the tracking on the God.com, the promise package. I can see where it's at. Okay, I'm just going to wait and chill. There can be a disengagement. Disappointment can cause us to disengage. The time frame failing us over and over again can cause us to disengage and shrink into or fall into hopelessness and depression. But as for me, like in this example of the Moses me dying and the Joshua me raising up and all that, I feel like that's literally happening today. I felt like the Lord said to me, or He just shared this idea with me. This idea came to me. I knew it was the Lord. I felt like it was the Lord, but I really felt like it was the Lord. I just kind of knew it was the Lord. But He was just like, you could be in the midst of a prophecy happening and not even realize it. And the Lord was, and I just knew right then I needed to stop and just listen and look around and really tune in. But okay, Lord, what are you saying? And then He showed me what Michelle and Joe are doing, and how she's really taken up the mantle that I've been carrying since 2017, and she's starting to do all these things, and I'm starting to back off, and she's starting to go forward. And God's always He used that on us a long time ago. He's like, there's going to come a time where Devin, I'm going to let off of you, and I'm going to push on to Michelle, kind of like a clutch accelerator type of situation. I'm accelerating you, and I don't even have my foot on her at all. But there's going to come a point where it's going to switch, and then she's going to not only is it's like, she's going to become more the accelerator that I'm pushing on, and you're going to be the clutch I'm just lifting off of you. And that's been happening. That's literally been happening. So many times we're just into this right here, whatever this is that's in our life right here in the moment. And we're so involved in that. That's all we see. You know what I'm saying? We don't see that God, look at what God's doing, and we think what God's doing is great, and we applaud it, we praise Him for it, but we don't realize it's actually you are literally in the process of prophetic things being fulfilled. And so that's just like super encouraging. The Lord showed that to me today, and He was just showing me so many different aspects of our life that are just changing, and how me and my daughter are getting closer, and we're doing things, and and just it would be difficult to unpack the details, because it's just the truth. It's happening, where I'm having way less leadership impact in what's going on, and it's more of just a caretaker's impact. And that's kind of like what Michelle would be doing, and she's taking more of a leadership role, particularly in Joel's life, and really in the whole family dynamic. And I feel like I'm like, wow, this is exactly what the Lord said was going to happen. I didn't realize, but I feel like God is just preparing us for greater things. It's like this is a springtime, and we're just seeing a few of the flowers blossom here and there. And God's saying, see, I told you, springtime is coming, And it's like the spring of the prophetic words being fulfilled is happening. And so here's a moment of total vulnerability. I felt like the Lord said that we were going to be in this transition out of the wilderness for 2 years. Like, why do we need 2 years to transition out of the wilderness? Anyway, and then last year, as some of you might know, we got this really major blessing that allowed us to go on these different trips, and God took us on these different trips last summer. We got to meet people, we get to hang out we did lots of cool things that the Lord was having us do. We got to go visit some friends and all that, and we call it the leaf touching trips, because there was different trips that Michelle had planned, and we went and we touched those places, 4 of them, and it was just super fun. And then we've just been going through all these different prophetic sequences ever since then, and but now we are in our seventh year. At the end of this year it will be 7 complete years on this journey. And what the Lord said at the very beginning that that it was going to end in a fireworks display. Okay. And then we've been hearing lately, an awesome friend of ours sent us a message from Dutch Sheets, but it was actually another pastor. It was talking about your suddenly season, and I know, see, that's another one. You can have trigger words that just make you go, "Oh, I'm turning it off." You know what I'm saying? And we've been there so many times. But you're talking about you're getting ready to step into your suddenly season, and I felt like there's a scripture in Hosea chapter 6 that talks about on the third day he will raise us up, and I felt like the Lord said 2023 is your third day, meaning this is the year I'm going to raise you up. And I'm like, okay. It's going to be our resurrection time, and I felt like, and one of a message we've heard recently talks about God will always save the best for last, and that just really hit me when I heard it. And it's like God shows you the joy, the best part, the joy. He shows you that at the very beginning. Then he sends you on a journey. And then at the very end of your journey, you get the best part. And he saves the best for last and all that stuff. And so that's kind of how the process works, right? And you start getting really excited and all that. So I'm just taking you through an actual time frame prophetic process that I am going through literally right now. And you can see the change happening in our family. You can see God doing things. You can see, and it's more than just me picking and choosing. You can literally see these prophetic things happening that some of these things we've been waiting for a very long time, and they're just happening. They're just, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, look at that. Whoa, wow, yeah, look at that. It's prophetic things taking place. And so I'm just like, wow, Lord. And one of the things the Lord said to us in the very beginning of this journey, he's like, enjoy this now, because it will never be like this again, ever. Meaning, like, once the Lord hits that red button, once he flips that switch, once he opens that door and the Spirit of God picks us up and carries us into that banquet room and we feast on the promises of God, he's like, you're never going back to where you were before. The Lord's been speaking double restoration over me and Michelle for a very long time, but especially lately. And now here we find ourselves in the last 3 months, the last phase 4, the last 3 months of our 7th year. You know, so basically it's like 6 years, 6 3/4 years we've been at this. And it's like there's a marriage to the promise that we're looking for. There's a entering into the house of the Lord that we're looking for. And if you want to know more about what the house of the Lord is, check out the video called 12 Stones, 12 Homes, because all of that's going to be the house of the Lord. All of it's going to, that's a big vision. And God's, he's preparing us for some stuff, but it's like we're looking forward to that. The Lord's given us this vision. Here, I'll share something with you really quick. If it won't drop on the floor. Here, check this out. See? We just did this the other day. So there's the priestly time, and then there's this middle time, and then we go into the kingly time. So it's like for us, this can represent the Jordan River, can represent the Jordan. You can see my ring light on the thingy. It represents the Jordan, or it can represent a wedding aisle, where basically the priestly and the kingly meet, and the two become one. And then that's what the banquet vision is, like the main course. It's like basically where you're feasting on the promises. So it's like as you're coming out of one thing and going into another thing, God's like, there's this marriage. And in a marriage, there's a meeting together, a fulfillment of hearts, and a kind of like if you look at 1 Samuel 9:24, the way Saul, he went from being this guy to now he's at a banquet and he's going off to being a king, And so the Lord's like, there's going to be that banquet time. There's going to be that in the Jordan River time. There's going to be that feasting on the promises of God time. And then from that point on, you're going to go into the new life, the totally different life that the Lord has for you. And the Lord's like, things will never be like this again. And I'm like, wow, okay. And so we're kind of looking forward to that. So once again, we actually find ourselves in a vulnerable situation of actively, in the moment right now, believing for God to do some really cool stuff in the next 3 months, where he's just going to be doing some amazing things. We're looking for the promise. Again, we have ourselves perched on the walls of Jerusalem, Isaiah 62:6, and we're just looking for God to establish his glory and his promises in the people of God's life, but particularly even in our life. Because everybody has a different time frame, honestly, for what God's doing in their life. But sometimes God is just a corporate dump of his spirit, and it just blesses everybody. We've been talking about upper room stuff again lately, and it's just so many things that we've been sharing and talking about, what's been shared in God time, and the I am has come up a lot lately. The Lord saying I am, and just proclaiming his name to us, and we're like, whoa, okay, we're getting ready to see the glory of God. And so there's a lot of puzzle pieces on our table right now, and we're putting them together, but we're just by the Spirit putting them together, and we're just going, this all looks like big expectation to me, and so we're just waiting on the Lord to see what he's going to do, because things are happening, things are changing. Even you guys can tell, it's obvious, things are changing even on our channel, the content, the presentation, the absence of Michelle, and so all of that really comes to this focal point of God is faithful to fulfill his word. Those who endure to the end will see the glorious end that God has. And the length of the race is designed to be a reward worthy for those who have made it to the end, because the God's like, I want to save the best for last, but only those who make it to the last are going to get the best. You know what I'm saying? So we're expecting that. We're like, we're not going to stop. That's not an arrogant or prideful thing. It's just the truth. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. Yes, we suffer pain. Yes, we suffer heartache. Yes, we suffer disappointment. Yes, we suffer setback. Yes, there's a cross to carry that kills us on the inside all the time, every day. I mean, we die daily, literally, like Paul said. It's like, I die daily. It is the truth, man. I mean, we're just dying daily, and for different reasons, but ultimately, it's like, also like Paul said, it's like the present minor afflictions is not worth comparing to the glory of the promise to be fulfilled, and what God's going to do and how he's going to do it. And so if there's any encouragement to be had, I hope you guys have gleaned from it or plucked from it in this video, in that prophetic time frames are God's business, and if you just keep on walking with him, you will walk into the fulfillment of the promise God has for you. He will show up. There will be a visitation. You'll walk into it. It will happen. God will fulfill his word. And we are in an active moment right now in these last 3 months of this year, looking for the resurrection, looking for the raising up, looking for the miraculous, looking for this wedding thing to happen, this Jordan thing to happen. I know not just me. I have a group of small friends. They're not short. It's just there's only 4 of us. Small group. Anyway, it's like you've got a group of friends that are really small. No, but we're all, we are all looking for our time of miraculous things to take place in the Jordan River of God's stuff of our life, right? We're looking for God level stuff to happen. God level. Like, not even a man could have done that. No man could have done that. We're looking for God level Jordan parting, Jericho wall falling, miraculous things to take place, like a sap. You know what I'm saying? But we're just going to keep following the Lord day by day. Lord, give us this day our daily bread. That's the life right there. Give us this day our daily bread, right? And until then, and then even after all of that happens, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be following the Lord in this next journey. When you want to get married, it's usually to someone you love and you actually like hanging out with, hopefully. But then when that day comes where it's like, this is the day, this is really happening today, you are leaving a lot behind. And there's no regret in it whatsoever. You're going from one level of life to another level of life, which is just much more joy. Yeah, there's going to be conflict and issues and all that stuff, but if you truly, truly, truly love each other, you're just going to keep growing and developing. If you keep dying to yourself, you're going to be growing and developing. But man, I could keep on going, but hopefully you guys get a little bit of encouragement from that, and that God will fulfill his word. And in the fulfilling of his word, you will be fulfilling your purpose, and the time frame is up to him. He will do what he wants to do in the time he wants, in the different segments that he has, and each segment can be completely different in the time frame. It's not all just linear, concrete categorizations that God has planned out. No, just trust him and let him do what he's going to do, because he will never fail you or forsake you. Amen. So I hope you guys were blessed by that. And until next video, just be praying for us. We're definitely in a very vulnerable state heart-wise, but you know what? I see God do some of the best things with hearts that are wide open to him and are putting themselves in a position where they're like, only you. I will not find comfort or satisfaction or salvation in anything else but you. And that's just kind of where we're at right now, as we live our daily lives, what I'm saying? But our heart position is we're just waiting on the Lord, we're excited, looking to see what he's going to do, So I hope that this helps you to get to that position or encourage you as you're in that position. And until our next video, we love you guys, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.